Raising a 3-year-old could be a full-time job. Building a business, that could be a full-time job. Training horses could be a full-time job. Kristy Gazzier is doing all of those things right now, and she's going to join us today on Midlantic Racing Today. My name's Frank Vespi. Momentarily, Ted Black going to be here to interview Kristy Gazzier, trainer at Charlestown Races. Today's episode of Midlantic Racing Today is powered by The Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com. And today's episode is Charlestown Races Today. It's presented by our friends at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. My name's Frank Vespi. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. Here is Ted Black, and along with Kristy Gazzier.
Hey, Ted, how are you?
Good. How you been, Kristy?
Oh, just, working hard every day.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah, every day.
I try to occasionally, but I can't do it every day, But quite a bit of success for you as a trainer and, earlier in your career to this point, coming up on 1,000 starters, in case you hadn't noticed. Nice little milestone to have. But give us a little background. I mean, I know a lot of the female trainers up there began their careers as jockeys at Charlestown. You didn't, but your mom did, obviously. So give us a little background on you and your family and their involvement in racing, Kristy.
Well, my mom was starting out galloping horses at like a bush track, because I grew up in southern Mississippi, Gulfport, and there's a bush track close to our house. So my mom would just go there and ride races and all. This was back. She would get like $5 or something, so it was real cheap. But she's just trying to make us start. She always loved riding horses. She was a barrel racer, and so she's always. And which is funny because we didn't really have anyone else in our family come from horses. So my mom's love of horses just developed as an early childhood thing. So she finally started her racing career. She rode at Delta, Evangeline, sometimes at the fairgrounds. And so I was in school, so she would come and visit us. She would come on when she wasn't riding, and I would go with her all the time too. But I was still in school because I was a young girl. And my mom got a call one day from Pocono Joe. He was an agent here back in Charlestown when my mom was riding in like 97, I want to say. So he's like, "Hey, Charlestown, we need a new bug rider female. You're doing great." So my mom's like, it was a risk because it was a lot of miles away from home. So she came here about a month, and she had really good success. And so she was like, "Well, I really like it here." So my grandparents and me, and my sister all packed up, and we came here, and she met my stepdad, who's John Dillo. He basically raised me. He's not my real dad, but he's my dad. And he was a very successful horse trainer as well. And I really always loved horses. I like to be around them. It was, it's been a passion of mine. I've always been that little horse girl watching the horse movies and everything. I always wanted to ride, and I had ridden before, but my mom was such a big influence and all, but I kind of was more into when I was in high school and all. I was really into like veterinary and stuff, and so I wanted to go to college for that. But then, things change when you get older. You're just like, well, I just like to be around the horses. So, and so then I kind of just started working with my dad and all, was hot walking and stuff. And I met Mauricio, and he was a jockey at the time. And we were like, we had a friend. He liked having horses to race and all. And Maurice was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." So, his dad had his trainer's license, and also we started to fiddle around a little bit with running some horses. And then we were like, well, we really, really like this. So we kind of built everything up together, and I got my trainer's license, and here we are today. So everybody's kind of, I have people from everywhere that really push me into becoming a trainer, and very good influential people as well. I've worked with a lot of I try to take in everything people tell me and learn from it, because if you go into things saying, "Oh, I know everything," you're not going to get anywhere, because you know how much I've learned over the years, just training and listening, watching other people and people giving advice. So when you get advice, sometimes it's best to try to take it,
Hmm. Yeah,
not
obviously,
get offended.
right, right. No, obviously, Kristy, you're still young and still learning. What was the one or two things you took away from John when you first started training horses on your own after watching John Dillo operate his barn? Was there one or two things that you took away the most from watching him or listening to him, uh, interact with the grooms, the hot walkers, the jockeys, everyone else that is important in making sure that the operation runs smoothly?
Well, my dad, he let me say, he keeps a tight ship. He likes
Hmm.
everyone, people, he challenges you, to do better. Like, he would used to, I remember as kids, he have all the grooms, he'd do like a little competition, like, hey, whoever has the best looking horse or whatever, you get an extra stake on your check. So
Hmm.
I remember him always trying to make everyone do better, and um, I just saw the care and all. We didn't go on many childhood vacations, because horses, but he was very driven. He was there every day, every week. He had people work for him, but we fed the horses ourselves every day at feed time, because he wanted to make sure they're eating. He wanted to monitor them. He's very hands on. He's super smart and intelligent. And like, he is the person I go to if I see a problem. Like, what do you think, Dad? So he has a lot of experience, and he's got a lot of knowledge to share. So, and he's helping me now, because he's getting, he's in his 70s now, and he he wants to get a horse just for fun, but, he's trying to take
Hmm.
things laid back and all. And it's really good having somebody with that experience and knowledge with me every day, to know, he helps guide us, he gives us advice, and, he's reliable. He actually cares. So it's
Yeah.
always good to have somebody that cares helping.
Christy, the early days are obviously very important for any young trainer starting off. How important was it to have a couple of owners that believed in you, and you started winning races for them, and they started giving you a few more horses each year, and continued to just back your career and see that you're successful. How important are those owners? And I know you've mentioned that they're like family. So
Oh,
how
yeah,
quickly
definitely.
you kind of bring them into the family atmosphere. But take me back to those early days. I mean, those initial owners had faith in you, and they've stuck with you.
Yeah, so we've had some wonderful owners over the years. Some have just kind of gotten out of the business, not because, sometimes their jobs are so busy and all, they don't have time, and some people just getting older and all, they just move on to different things. But we've had some really great owners. We still have great owners that have been with us for a very long time. Um, I like to always, have try to. I want the owners to trust in us
Hmm.
and know that we're always going to try to do the best thing for the horses, because with horses comes problems along the way too. So they have to trust my judgment, trust me, have patience, and sometimes things don't always go the way we want them to go, or sometimes we do bad we invest in the horse and it doesn't turn out the way we want it to. And so we have lots of ups and downs in horse racing, and that just comes with the game. But my biggest thing is, I just want the people to trust me, because I am a very honest person, because I want honesty in return. So
Mhm.
we try to just be honest, and people really tend to like us because we're very personable people. We're very family oriented, and we really love our horses. The horses are our lives. We love them.
Right. No,
We
understood.
don't go on
And
vacations
obviously,
much either, just following in my dad's footsteps.
you mentioned we've talked in the past about Christina Mosby and what her loyalty has meant to you as a friend and as an owner, and what's that relationship been like over the years, having her as a friend and someone that's believed in you as a trainer, Kristy.
Um, Christina to us, I wouldn't even say as a friend. She's like family. Christina's always, we love Christina. She's a lovely person. She is very passionate about her horses, and, you know, um, she takes she likes to, how do I word this? She entrusts us to give the best care, so she always purchases the best stuff to give to the horses. So,
Okay.
she invests a lot of money, a lot of time and effort, so she's always researching, and, we're always in communication with her. We go visit her all the time at the farm and all, and she's just a lovely person. She's always been fun to work with, and, like I said, we've had great times, and, sometimes we've had some horses that just never were much, that we just retired, so that's
Hmm.
but she's like
Yes.
family to us.
No, it's good to hear. And you've had success with West Virginia breds like WV Lad, and of course, horses that were bred elsewhere like Hammer, who's been your main winner to this point. I think he's made almost 250,000. Since you started training
Yeah.
him. What's it like? Having horses in your barn like Hammer that can run open company, and horses like West Virginia Lad that hopefully somewhere along the way they'll pick off one of the West Virginia bred stake races. If that's in the works for him.
Yeah, Hammer is a phenomenal horse. So is Lad. They're both it's so funny to see them. They're both very different personalities. I love both in different ways. Um,
Hmm.
Hammer, he's just very determined. He's not a big horse. He's not little either, but he's kind of more like chunky. But it's just
Okay.
so amazing to see him from when we got him just develop into such a great horse, and just become so successful. And I'm still in shock at how well he's done. I'm just so proud every time he runs. He always gives you it all. And same with Lad. Lad is just
Hmm.
like a battle cat. He just goes out there and just he tries hard. Even if he runs kind of a, say he's not in the money, he's always right there. So either he got stuck, or something, the race didn't go in his favor. He's always right there. They're both always trying really hard. They're two horses that just give you their all. And I love having horses like that. They just, I pamper them, I take care of them. They're spoiled little guys, but they give you it all when they go out on the track, and that just means the world. So I hope to have more Hammers and more Lads.
Yeah, you always have to hope the next one comes along at some point. Kristy, obviously another big event for you. A couple years ago, you became a mother for the first time. What's it like for you now, balancing all the aspects of mother, having a 3-year-old daughter, I believe. I'm sure she's a handful,
Oh,
and
she is.
you've got to be at the barn, for the horses and interact with the owners, the jocks agents, and the mom, which is essentially a full-time job. So what's that been like, having the new addition to the family, and balance everything that comes with it now, Kristy?
It At first it was a little challenging because it was a whole new world for me. Um, I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of person. And when I actually had Grace, uh, it was a little bit of a change. It was 4 days after I got home with her. I was like, I'm ready to go back to the barn. So my mom's like, you should really rest. And I'm like, no, I got to go see my horses. So it was a lot of change. It was, I'd say, it felt like a little bit of me was missing because, I'm so used to being at the barn all day long.
Hmm.
But I will say it's one of my greatest accomplishment, if not my greatest accomplishment, is being a mom to Grace. She's awesome. She loves the horses. Um, and she I don't bring her in the mornings because my mom watches her every morning. So we get up really early. I drop her off at my mom's. She goes back to sleep while I get to work. So I'm very thankful to have my mom. Not too many people can say they have a family member to watch the kids. And
Hmm.
so when we got to go feed in the afternoons, she always comes. She's got a little wheelbarrow. She wants to help out. She likes to clean stalls and give. Oh man, I got candy jars everywhere and cookies for the horses, and she's just giving them all the sweets. But it was hard at first because it did feel like I was having to change my lifestyle a little because I'm so used to going to the races all the time. So then I stay home a good bit too, in the evenings when we have something going on that's too late because, I can't always be in two places at once. So I have to be at
Hmm.
home as well. So luckily I have Mauricio. He takes care of everything there too. So I'm not missing anything and the horses are in great hands. So but it's been very rewarding being a mom.
No, it's great to hear. Any sage advice from your mom? I mean, she was obviously around the track a lot as a jockey for many years, and had to balance being a mom and being a rider. Being at the track. Any sage advice from her along the way? Like, hey, you know, just got to prioritize different things, or any one or
Oh
two
yeah,
things you remember.
she's always like, you gotta make sure you gotta put your babies first too. So the things will get done because I'm a very OCD when it comes to like I wouldn't say I'm a man like I like to manage things, but make sure things go smooth, not in a demanding way. I just like things to just go with the flow, very smooth. I don't want anything to go off without a hitch. So, but yeah, you do have to put your family first sometimes too. The kids are only kids once. That's what she always tells me. And luckily, my mom too had the same situation when she was riding. My grandma moved up here and watched us, so she was lucky to have that kind of village as well to take care of us. So, my mom she was always a tough gal, and now she just enjoys being a grandma. So
No, it's good to hear. Obviously, Christy, Grace is your top 3 year old, so to speak. Any unraced 3 year olds or 2 year olds that you're really looking forward to seeing make their debut, sometime in the near future, whether they're in the West Virginia bred program or looking for something open to run.
so we have a lot of 2-year-olds right now, which
Okay.
we have 21 horses in the barn, and I want to say maybe 10 of them are 2-year-olds and or 3-year-olds that are unraced. So we have a good bit of horses that are just starting out and all, and they look very promising.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have a nice even balance between that are colts that are getting ready to get gelded once it cools off a little.
Okay.
And we have a nice even balance of colts and fillies. So, um, you know, that way it's not so much of one thing. I don't want to have a whole barn full of 2-year-old colts. That would be a little bit of conflicting whenever we go to run them and stuff, being West Virginia bred. So, and I like to take my time. So if I sense a horse is not ready, I want to take my time. If they're not pushing us, because with 2-year-olds you get big, you can develop issues. It's hit or miss with a 2-year-old. So, and I have a couple of my own. I don't usually have my own horses, and we have a couple horses that are our own this year. So it's gonna be cool to see them start racing.
No, I look forward to seeing how they do, Kristy.
Yeah, me too.
As a mom and a trainer, obviously you have to be at the barn. But another aspect of it is, you've got to go through the condition book constantly to try to find the best spots for your horse, whether they're making their debut or whether they're, constant grinders and winners like Hammer and WV Lad. So, how much time do you find yourself spending just going through the condition book and trying to make sure particular horses come up to a race just right each time, Kristy?
So usually what we do, we always get like a nice little notebook, and we just write each individual name, and we do this at least once a week, because sometimes horses aren't quite ready or things change. We want to stretch out. We want to go somewhere else. But we always write down once a week. We try to do an evaluation of where we want to go next, or I should say, like the quote unquote race that we're thinking about. So we always try to, once a week, we always do that. But we look at the book every day, just like on entry days and all, because we have horses, we like to run out of town as well. We go to Penn National. I've ran at Parks. Delaware's awesome. We're thinking about the Timonium circuit with a couple. So we went to Colonial. So we always have to keep looking.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of race books and a lot of options out there for you. Just a matter of finding the right spots for your horses and hoping that when the race comes open that they're peaking going into that particular race.
Oh yeah, exactly. Sometimes you have to run horses, you don't want to do it, but sometimes I have for example, I've had a horse, he just, for the $5,000 race, distance is just not going. So, what do you do? Some, you run them higher, they get beat, or you run them the same price, or shorten their distance a little. So you have to kind of do, when you're writing your book, like looking through the condition book, you kind of got to look and see, what if this doesn't go? Where do I go next? Because you don't want to miss races and then the horse just is sitting, not running, So we always have to constantly keep looking back and see what do we do next. Because we do run into that problem a lot, where sometimes the race just won't go.
Right. Yeah, and how much input does John have in that for you, Kristy? I mean, he's been around the game a long time. I'm sure he's he's had to deal with every scenario as a trainer, finding races to go, finding races, unfortunately, that didn't go.
Yeah, he ran into for the longest time, he would run out of town. I think he was training out of Bowie. This was back before he met my mom, but he would travel every day to Maryland and Charlestown. So he kind of had a string at both tracks. So he would take horses, same. If like the race wouldn't go in Maryland, he'd run them here. So we always have to kind of look around, You don't want to have the horse sitting too long, because then the owners get a little upset. You know how that
no
goes.
question.
Yeah, they're investing money, so they want to, see a little return back.
Right.
So we always try to take care of our owners, as best we can.
No, it's the only way to stay in the business, Kristy.
Exactly.
You've got to have success, and you've got to have owners, willing to support you, through thick and thin. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they understand they're certainly not going to win every time you enter, right? I mean,
Oh
that's a
no,
given.
we're
You
always
know,
going into something. Even if you're a favorite, I always say, even if you're a favorite, it doesn't mean you're gonna win because
right?
anything can happen. So I'm the type of person. Um, my husband, he likes to study the condition book and all. I'm the type of person when the gates open, I just want to see them come home safe.
Sure.
That's my biggest thing. I want to see them run their best they can and come home safe because I really care about the horses and they all have their own little personalities and quirks. So they're like my family.
No, that's good to hear. I mean, and one last thing, Kristy, just looking back on it, did you ever imagine when you started that here you are in 2026 with a nice barn of horses, some solid loyal owners, and a little 3-year-old of your own, that calls your mom now. I mean,
Yeah, no, I always thought we would do something with the racing. I figured, I I didn't think we would ever get this big, but
right,
we're doing pretty good for ourselves, and we have clients still willing to bring horses and trust us. And we have new clients too that we look forward to building relationships with them as well, and hopefully having success. And but no, I never I always said I was like, I'm never gonna have kids. I'm too busy. And here I am. I have a 3-year-old myself. I always said that. I was like, I'll be a great aunt, but I don't want kids. And here we go. We have little Grace, and I don't regret it at all.
no, nor should you. You have a heck of a career as a trainer, and I'm sure even a better one as a mom for little Grace there. So,
Yeah, I just
but
want to give her a great childhood like I
no,
had. So
no, exactly. I'm sure it's in the works. But hey, appreciate you joining us today, Kristy. Always enjoy talking in at the track when I get a chance to see you win a few races and between races, and hopefully have a few more winners here down the road coming up, whether it's at Charlestown or Delaware or Colonial or Penn, wherever you have to race.
sounds great. Thank you. It was so nice talking to you, Tad.
No, same here, Kristy. Appreciate you doing the show and look forward to seeing you at Charlestown sometime in the near future.
Sounds great. Look forward to seeing you.
Coming up now, Frank Vespi and Ted Black catch up on the latest news from Charlestown races.
At a premium, dominated the Sylvia Bishop. I guess my first question to you is, I don't know what everybody else was doing in that race. Like you weren't going to stalk and pounce and beat her. Somebody needed to go with her, and nobody went with her. Did that surprise you?
Not so much. I mean, the last couple of starts, Frank, up there, she's really clicked off some wicked early fractions. So I think most trainers and the jockeys probably viewed if they went out with her and 23 in a piece, 45 in a piece, or 46, that eventually, they were the ones that were going to pay the price. So, right. When she broke and went to the front and no one went with her, I wasn't too surprised because I figured somebody would just try to sit and, basically race for second. I mean, they were essentially conceding the race to her on the clubhouse turn, right? I mean, once she made the front and really didn't have to work hard, in a compact field like that, you're kind of conceding the race to her. And from that point on, I just thought everybody was kind of racing for second, from the break. And, if you go after her, who's going to be worse for wear? Probably your filly, not her. She's going to keep going. I wasn't really surprised at the tactics because, I mean, just in those 2 turn races up there, Frank, I mean, she's clicked off some really ridiculous fractions. I mean, she broke 111 in one of the allowance races going 2 turns. You rarely see that in a stakes race. So, I mean, you're doomed if you go with her, and you're not beating her if you don't, right? I mean, you're just not going to beat her. So she's impressive. Won her first 3 starts by an average of 11 lengths, and I think the other night they give her a 7 or 8 length victory. I forgot to double check the chart, but watching it live, it looked like it was about 7.5 or 8.
Yeah, I mean,
No, she's really good.
yeah, I mean, so it does not seem like there's anybody in the 3-year-old filly division that really is competitive with her at this point up there. You talked to Walters after the race, the trainer David Walters, who trains for Jill Daniel. What was your takeaway there? What do you think they do next?
Well, I mean, two things. Honestly, I was a little surprised that he was surprised that he thought she won so easily. I think a lot of people that were watching going into the race, looking at the PPs and knowing the other 3 horses in the field, thought she was going to win pretty comfortably. To your point, he did think she might take some pace pressure early, and if she wasn't up to the task, then she might get beat. So he did not go into the race thinking that it was a given by any means. And after what she did, the way she won, I mean, his takeaway was she was even better than what he expected. So, definitely going to nominate to the Oaks because it's a free nomination, and going to consider it and look over the list of noms and see who may or may not be coming over the next couple of weeks. Because, I mean, a lot of them are going in the test, right? I mean, a lot of the very, very best 3-year-old fillies are going in the test. But the other ones are going to look at that 750 and think, well, if I'm going to be second in the test, I might as well come to Charlestown and win the 750, right? So there's not going to be it's not going to be an easy spot for her if she does go. But, realistically, just from a historical standpoint, Frank, I mean, just from West Virginia breds, we've seen Late Night Powwow win the Oaks when it was a 3. And then we saw Parisian Diva run 4th in the Oaks, and she was solid. And I think At a Premium is squarely in between those two. I don't know if she's quite as good as Late Night Powwow. There's not many that are going to come along that are going to be among West Virginia bred fillies, but a little more ability than Parisian Diva. So, she's probably looking at a chance at winning. Don't get me wrong, certainly a chance at winning a race, depends who comes. But, second or third is very, very realistic for her if she goes in the Oaks.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, and I would think one of the things you think about too is finishing third in the Oaks is, the amount of money you earn is the entire purse for the West Virginia bred race. It's you get $75,000 for finishing third in the Oaks. So if you think you're going to do that, and I don't know, time will tell where she stacks up versus a horse like Late Night Powwow. But at this point, I still sort of think we still don't know anything. I feel like she's way better than the fillies she's been seeing.
Right.
What does that tell us? She's way better than the fillies we've been seeing. I mean, I'd like to see her take on the Oaks. I'd like to see her in a spot where she's with some horses that are competitive at her level.
Yeah, I think the Oaks would be an ideal spot for her. I mean, she's going to face some serious graded stakes company in there, being a grade 2 going for 750. Yeah. But, all things considered, with the test being, the same weekend, and a lot of guys wanting to stay at Saratoga for that race. I mean, I don't see her worse than third in the Oaks. She could potentially win it. I think that's certainly not a given, but second is well within her capability. And I don't think she's going to be worse than third in there if she tries it. And then I don't see the race taking too much out of her. And then she comes back months older in the Cavada, which is, what Late Night Powwow did, going for 125. And really, when you get there, the only one she's got to contend with is Overnight Power.
Yeah.
Realistically,
Right.
because that group is not that deep either.
Unless they opt for the 3-year-old filly race that night where she's 1-9.
Yeah, and you're only going for 75 there. So I think if she tries the Oaks, she'll come back and try the Cavada, knowing that it's really between her and Overnight Powwow. But yeah, if she doesn't run really well in the Oaks for whatever reason, I can see them. I can see David saying, "Okay, we'll just go back to the 3-year-old filly race on Breeders' Classics night, and we'll try the Cavada next year." But I think if she's on the board for the Oaks, I think she's going in the Cavada, and it's going to be a throwdown between her and Overnight Powwow in there.
So do you, I mean, handicapping it at this point, do you think she's more likely the Oaks than the West Virginia bred race on Classic night?
I do. I do think she is more likely the Oaks than the West Virginia bred race, just because there's such a dramatic difference in the pot. If you go into Sadie Hawkins, you are running older. You're probably going to see Overnight Powwow there, and you're only going for 75. So if you're second to her, now you've made 15,000, for running second, somewhere in that vicinity. And if you win it, you've only made 45,000, and you've got to beat a nice older filly in there. Whereas if you run second in the Oaks, what's that, about 150, and then third is 75. So I mean, it's got to be too tempting to not try the Oaks at this point. Mm-hmm. As good as she is, she's already won going 2 turns 3 times. Pretty impressively, one time in 17 flat, going 6.5 furlongs, which older horses don't do up there too often. So even the other night she went 7 furlongs, 24 in a piece, and the older races went 26 in a piece. For older boys. Mm-hmm. So all the signs are there that she's definitely going to be very, very competitive in the Oaks if she tries it. I don't know if there's 2 or 3 that would scare her off. That's up to David when he looks at the noms and kind of gets an indication of whether those fillies are going to stay at Saratoga and go in the Oaks. The test. But at this point, I think she's going in the Oaks, and she's either going to be second or third.
We'll look forward to seeing how that shakes out, but certainly she's a pretty impressive 3-year-old filly at this point in her career. Now 4 for 4, right? And with the stakes win. So pretty impressive stuff. Speaking of impressive, last year's best older West Virginia bred is in the entries for the first time in 2026. That's Sam Huff Breeders' Classic winner Teaching the Release, set to make his season debut Saturday night in the 7th race, which is a 7 furlong open allowance, where he's going to see horses like Juba with a Twist, Ronaldo, Social Chic, Judgment Day, Juba's Hat Trick, Payme Gold, Never Pop the Cork. So interesting, pretty salty spot to come back on. At the end of last year, he was killing these kinds of horses. What's your take here?
Yeah, well, obviously, definitely the best race of the whole weekend. I mean, you've got the defending Classic champion. Ronaldo was a previous Classic winner. I believe Juba with the Twist was favorite one year when he was in it. I mean, it's a very, very good group. We've seen Social Chic around for what seems like 10 years now. He's had a really, really good career. He's always like first, second, or third. I think he's been worse than third only a handful of times in 45 career races without having a sheet in front of me. But a very good group. I mean, it's definitely Teaching the Release's race to lose at this point. He does run big, fresh. But I imagine he's not fully cranked, for this race, being an allowance race. And there's definitely going to be what is it? The Frank Gall, I would imagine, would be the very next objective for him on the tail end of the Charlestown Classic card. And then, of course, from there, he's probably going to go in the Classic and then come back for the Randy Funkhauser. So, I think he's definitely going to be the favorite. Slight edge in terms of ability and as far as him winning and running well fresh. But, in the back of my mind, I know he's not going to be cranked for this. But this is obviously an ideal setup race for the rest of the summer and the fall for him.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. If they're targeting the Sam Huff Breeders' Classic, which you have to believe they are with the $300,000 pot against West Virginia breds, this is perfect because it gets you. That race will be the third off the layoff if everything goes to plan. You're on here, you're on the Gall. You don't really care what happens in either of those as long as he comes out in good order, and then you come back for the Breeders' Classic and everything. All systems should be go then. So might be a bet against in this spot. Have to look at the PPs. Haven't done that, but first off the bench, obviously bigger fish down the road. Might be a bet against here, but should be, as you said, should be perfectly. It's a perfect spot to get started if your goal is the $300,000 race in October.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Frank. I mean, if he's 2 to 5, you're definitely taking a swing against with a couple other ones in there. And at this point, tough to imagine, Frank, but we're looking at the defending West Virginia bred horse of the year making his 2026 debut. And at this point, there's probably at least 2 horses ahead of him that are the 2 most likely West Virginia bred horses of the year moving forward, being, at a premium, who we just talked about, and possibly Ryan's Run, depending on what he does, maybe in the Hilton, if he goes in the Hilton, and then beyond that. I mean, so we've already been fortunate to see 2 really exceptional 3-year-old West Virginia breds, climb the ladder pretty quickly because neither one of them raced at 2, from what I recall. So, you've got at a premium 4 for 4 and Ryan's Run 4 for 4, and both could come back and put on a show on Charlestown Classic night, running against open horses, going in those big 3-year-old stake races, and what do you do if they both win? I mean, you start the debate, right? I mean, who's the better West Virginia bred this year? So, just kind of interesting. A little premature to get it out there, but you've got you got the reigning West Virginia bred horse of the year and teaching a release, and I'm sure he's going to be set up to do well the next 4 starts. But he's already had the kind of the gauntlet thrown down in front of him, right? As far as defending his title with at a premium and Ryan's Run, what we've seen from those 2, because they've been nothing short of superb through the first 4 starts of their career at this point.
Yeah, no, they haven't put a foot wrong so far. So it should be fun to see how this all plays out. Heading down the road, Charlestown Classic coming up just about a month, August 28th. Huge card that night, so looking forward to that. All right, Ted Black, thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me on, Frank. Take care.
Thanks so much to Ted Black, to Kristy Gazzier, and most of all to you for watching, listening, and we hope liking and subscribing to Midlantic Racing Today. Midlantic Racing Today is powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com, and today's episode, Charlestown Races Today, is presented by our friends at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. My name's Frank Vesby. You can check the archives on theracingbiz.com, and we'll be back next week with a couple more episodes of Midlantic Racing Today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll catch you soon.